Hello! Happy 4th of July. I turned this on and then I realized that my top button wasn't button. So just excuse me for a minute. But happy 4th of July to you. I'm in the most beautiful place in the world, and that is Redwood State Parks, of course. And I'm in my favorite grove. It's a Laura. I can't get this button. You guys just got to see me struggle for a minute on it. Welcome to Humboldt Redwood State Park Grove with a longtime good friend of mine, Teresa Baker. And she loves the Redwoods like I do. And we just found out coming out here, even though we've known each other for years, oops, that's the phone tripping, that this is our favorite grove, both of us. So we're pretty stoked. But what we're going to talk about, Teresa and I go back in a lot of different ways, but one thing that's really important to both of us is the preservation of our natural areas and having good recreational experiences for everyone. And we have a lot of work to do on that front. And also, what's important to both of us, and she's going to speak for herself here in a minute, but that is making sure the next generation feels included in the park system, and the present generation, that people feel included in the park system. And a lot of you have always felt included in the park system, and so you're like, what are they possibly going to talk about? And we're going to talk about today. So just one look around here so you can see, oh my goodness, isn't this place just beautiful? And I'm so glad I can do a live from here because this is a wonderful spot. Isn't that wonderful? So there was recently an article that talked about, it was about national parks, but we can probably assume a lot of the percentages that are covered in this are the same. And one of those statistics were that in the United States, 42% of Americans are people of color. Okay. But when it comes to park visitation, the study was done on national parks, only 23% of the visitors were people of color. And so I wanted to know why, and I have my ideas because I've been in diversity and inclusion for a long time, but Teresa works on this a lot more than I do. And so Teresa, I was wondering, and I'm going to just flip this camera around a little bit because it's tripping. That's slang for it's not cooperating. So Teresa, why do you think that only 23% of so if there's 42% of people of color in the United States, how come only 23% of the visitors to parks are people of color?
There are a lot of reasons that contribute to that. One is the false narrative that people of color are not in these outdoor spaces, that we have no history in these spaces. Another reason is when we visit, we don't see other people that look like us in the makeup of the park staff. So we need to find a way to do away with some of the false narratives that are out there and find ways to engage or welcome a larger, diverse audience.
So one of those false narratives you're saying, just to make it clear, is that a lot of people believe that people of color aren't interested in these wild spaces. Correct. Or these like public parks?
Correct.
Okay. Is there any other reasons why you think that there's far less people of color coming to parks?
I think when you look at it from a national park standpoint, a lot of these places historically, people of color, Native Americans specifically, have been removed from these places. And with that, some of the history removed. So we need to find a better way to welcome back audiences who were once part of this land, the land that we're currently standing on, native stolen land that we're currently standing on. We need to find a way to revisit those conversations to make them feel welcome back to where generations before them were.
Okay. So these are really good points. And, one of the things that, as a conservationist, besides, sorry about that. So besides all the right things of why everybody should feel included, all the obvious things why we want everybody to feel included in their public spaces, is that the next generation is going to need to be the next generation of stewards, next generation of conservationists. We are in a place in our bothers. I want kids growing up today to feel like they are the stewards, they are the protectors. And part of that is that they come out as kids and have good experiences in the parks. This is public space, and there's so much fun things you could do out here. And I want all those people to come out here. But are some, themselves more inclusive? Like, what can we do besides changing the narrative and stuff? But like, what actions can we take? What things?
A lot of the publications that parks put out, only in English. Have some of the publications be in different languages.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the signage be in different language.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the signage telling the history of people of color in that specific area.
Mm-hmm.
But most importantly, it's bringing a more diverse workforce to our park system.
Oops.
We definitely need to have more people of color in uniform out in these spaces.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something the Park Service needs to work on, be it national or state, or even regional in some instances.
Mm-hmm.
We need to find a way to reach a larger pool of people when it comes to hiring. So those are, a few simple things that the park can start to work on.
Today we went to a couple state parks in this district. We went to Standish Hickey, we went to Richardson Grove, and we drove through the campground, and we noticed a lot of people of color camping, which was super encouraging. So what percentage of the people would you, just as observational, because we talk about these kinds of things, her and I, when we're driving around, but what do you think the percentage of campers was that were people of color, and what percentage do you think of the employees, state park employees, do you think were people of color? Just if you're going to just like casually make an observation.
Yeah. To say, there were a couple of campgrounds that we went to where it was a large population of people from underrepresented communities.
Mm-hmm.
But when it came to staff, I saw one person of color, and we went to 3, 4 different parks.
Mm-hmm.
So one person, that should speak volume to the leadership of state parks. You need to do a better job at hiring people who represent what the makeup of California looks like.
Is there a place that like hiring staff could go to recruit? Because I know that a lot of times people talk about recruitment as an issue because they don't know where to go. Oops. So do you have any tips for them?
Yeah, reach out to the various affinity groups that are out there doing this work around DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Make them aware of, newly open positions. Go to In Solidarity Project. We have a job board where people are posting, and a more diverse pool is going there, seeing these jobs posted. So go to the places you normally do not post. You're reaching the same candidates because you're doing the same thing over and over. So we have to do something different. We need to learn how to do that something different.
So it could be Latino outdoors, it could be Native outdoors, it could be those kinds of groups. But what is In Solidarity Project's web? What's the web address?
InSolidarityProject.com.
InSolidarityProject.com, and there's a jobs board there, or?
There's a job board. There's a list of DEI agents across the country.
Excellent.
That are doing this work. There's a list of partners that have signed the diversity pledge. So you can get it's a one-stop shop where you can get a lot of information on how to do this DEI work.
Awesome. Wildlife and parks. It's very, very important that we have everybody who is available to help us save species and to save habitat. We have everybody on board. And has really good experiences in the outdoors, has fun, because if you have fun in parks, you're more likely to want to protect them, and you're more likely want to protect these wonderful, wonderful places. Speaking of wonderful places, I'm curious, Teresa, where are your favorite places to hike? Where do you really enjoy?
Well, of course, Yosemite, and for reasons other than hiking, it's where California state parks originally began. And there's a history of the Buffalo Soldiers there. But Point Reyes, which is closer to home, I love hiking the Point Reyes area. But Avenue of the, you know, atop all that. It's amazing, all the different groves here, all the different trails. So it's places like this that encourage do, because we need to ensure that these places are protected beyond today. And in order to do that, we need to make sure we are engaging future stewards. So that's the importance of all the work that I do around DEI.
Awesome. And I just want to thank you, Teresa, for all the work you've done, all the times you've inspired me and many, many others. And I could name a million things you've done that I'm super happy about, but I think one of the ones that I'm most inspired by was your and Robert Hanna's work, and along with other partners, to rename the road going into Yosemite Buffalo Soldiers Highway, because Buffalo Soldiers were among the very first trail builders, firefighters, rangers, everything in Yosemite State Park. That's right, Yosemite started off as a state park and then became a national park, and Buffalo Soldiers were a huge part of developing that place to make it more welcoming to everybody. So thank you very much for your work there, Teresa. And I'm so glad that we found out that we both have a favorite grove here in Humboldt Redwood State Parks. That's right. And here we are at Mahan Plaque Grove. We love Laura Mahan. She was one of the first non-Indigenous people to save these redwoods. Because see that stump right here? She found out the stumps were out here, and she came out and she put her body between the loggers and these trees, because this land was being bought for preservation. And so Laura made sure that we got to see this place. So thank you, Laura. Thank you, Teresa. And happy 4th of July to all you guys. And thank you for watching this and being open to learning how you can help everybody feel welcome in this park, because we need everybody on board, feeling included, to save people before us. For us, we need to save it for the people who come.